Alright, hello Professor, we're back at it again. I had to record this again after I had started the next milestone, so my health and my ammo are there, but with their new functionality, they are returning um, null errors for some reason or whatever, but I've checked and I can't find anything that's null, so I'll figure that out later. For now, I'll have to take the point dock on the health bar, but it's okay. So here's my elements from the last game. I still shoot, run around, enemies. You can still pick up weapons. I still use root motion. The health bar still updates when we die, though. That's interesting, but it returns null exceptions elsewhere. Whatever. Um, and the ammo updated too. Not correctly, but it's there. So there we go. Anyway, there's my elements from the last game. Still working. So, um, let's dig into this nav mesh after I get out of my menu over here. So as we get closer, oops, too far, you can see that the nav mesh is here. The red areas mean it's not walkable. The blue areas mean it's walkable. And to get this going, you have to set up, how the agent radius and height. So this is how much space around the agents take up. This is how high they are. That's why this area below my bridge over here is highlighted in red. Um, this step height is will allow them to traverse something like interesting. Will allow them to traverse I don't know what I did why this is doing that, but something like this. Before I could get up close to this. Um, but like this little bump right here in between the bridge and my raised area, it would allow them to do something like that. Just step over that. If it was set to 0, they'd probably get stuck walking back up here right there. Um, anyway, and so that's what you basically need to set. You do have to select everything that you want through this scene thing and grab all your objects. Uh, and then there is when you select something, this comes up right here, and anything that's like the floor, you want to make static. Tell it that it's not going to move. Um, this is just for something I didn't use. The off mesh links, obviously, and basically, when you have the area you want selected, you have to say if it's walkable or not with this simple drop down menu, and then you have to bake it. And when you bake it, it puts this layer over it that says, hey, you can walk here, and hey, you can't walk here. Is this a new update or something? The hell is going on with that? Never had that happen. Okay. Anyway, on to the next one. As you can see when I hit play last time, enemies actually were navigating towards the player. They were running at me. They were running at my player character. You can see in the screen right there. Oh, I got shot with a shotgun. Okay, so now they'll continue following me again. And you can see they just chase the player. Now, they don't have any obstacle avoidance, so if they can't walk on something, they'll still just run against it. But that's basically the gist. They'll advance towards me. Do I have to? It doesn't really say show it in code, but I'm going to go there anyway because it's on here. So, they do it the old-fashioned way. They just I use the quaternion so that they turn at a certain speed, but we get our desired rotation from our target position minus our position, and we tell it which vector is up so it knows which way is up. And then we set this quaternion um, equal to our rotation. Well, I mean, we send it in there. We have to send it our current transform rotation, the one that we want, and then our pawn turn speed times time dot delta time. And this is fixed delta time because this is within a fixed update. So it runs a little bit differently, or not a little bit differently, but you get the same outcome. I just put it on a fixed update, so it would it would be a little bit more steady as it was going through. You know, it wouldn't be changing as much with the frame rate. So basically, all that is all of my enemies. Like, that's how they locate the player. These two lines. The rest is all for attacking. Basically, that's what this current angle is. Anyway, I'll explain that when we get there. We're gonna go down to the movement, and which it actually starts. Let's just start where it regularly starts. So over here I have an if statement saying that if our distance to target is less than or equal to our nav mesh dot stopping distance, we're gonna stop, and we're gonna set our animation floats to 0 so that no animations are playing. They're just staring. And then they stop and shoot basically. Otherwise, if it's not, you know, less than or equal to that, we're not stopped, and we're gonna move towards our player. And then we just pass that into pawn.move. It is the same movement code our player uses because they are human pawns too, or humanoid pawns too. All of that is exactly the same as the player. I could go to it really quick if you'd like. So right here, pawn move, same thing. We just pass in we basically just pass in move direction, which all that is a vector 3 that tells us how to get to our player. So let me just double check that. And then I have this special one right here, private void on animator move. This is called whenever the animator is moving each frame, and we set our nav mesh velocity equal to our animator velocity so that the animator is controlling the nav mesh, not the other way around. You get some really weird animations the other way around. They still use the same IKs our player does. This whole on animator IK, this goes through with the enemies too. They do the same thing. They do the same exact thing. So as you can see, for whatever reason, this is being weird when I'm getting close to places. I'm sure I won't see my enemy as I approach it, but there you go. Oh. But yeah, they hold their guns with their IKs. I would like to figure out what I did to my camera that it's... That's how... Yeah, I don't want camera clipping. So, and these null references are coming from my health bar and ammo. I don't know what's wrong. So anyway, that uses root motion. As you can see, they shoot at me. You've seen that. I'll hit play one more time just to show it. Spawn. They shoot at me. I still have to add a little bit of an offset because as you can see, if I would just sit there with the machine gun, he would shoot right next to me because he doesn't point the gun exactly at me. But there it was. They shoot at you, and really all that is this right here. We get the angle to target. So basically, we get our angle to target, same old fashioned way that you always do, target position minus our pawn's transform dot position. Um, and then I send that into this function that returns an angle in degrees to how far our transform dot forward is to like how it's between this target direction that I get right here and our pawn dot transform forward. So we're saying let's get our direction to our target and then let's get the angle that we are currently at compared to that direction. It's connecting again. Let me just make sure that it's still coming through. It looks like we're good. Um, so then we get the current angle to target, and that's a bad name, current angle, so I'll have to change that, but whatever. If the current angle is less than our firing angle, then and our weapon is not null, then we start our attack, and if it's greater than the firing angle, we stop our attack. Um, the firing angle is actually the angle on our weapon. It's all on the weapons, but I get it here so that they can use it. Um, and yeah, that's how that works. That's it. They come within that angle, they start firing, they leave that angle, they stop. And I think I showed it. I showed myself getting shot at. Um, so I'm gonna show you the different shot types in game. You've pretty much seen all of them. I got my shotguns spawning. There we go. That is the machine gun. Of course, they both spawn with machine guns. Oh, oh. Well, rip. And I think I'm dead. This game is way too hard. Developers nerf the enemies. Okay, get out of here with the machine gun. I don't know why I didn't just pick up the shotgun, but there's the shotgun. See, when he shoots at me, it shoots into a... There we go. There's two shotguns. I'm gonna die here. And that one is really hard to see, the pistol. But if you look closely, maybe pause the video, you can see he's shooting a singular bullet. It actually does quite a bit of damage. It's still the worst gun because of how slow it shoots, but you can kill somebody in 2 shots with it. So there's all my shot types. I guess I could really quick run and grab this, unless I made it too far. Yep, I did. Oh well. There's the shotgun. Ooh, shotgun versus shotgun. Ah, okay. So there's that. Ooh, we got some weird rotations going on there. So anyway, yeah, there was the different shot types. Um, they spawn with a random weapon. I don't need to play that again. You saw it. They spawn with a random weapon, and that is actually on the humanoid pawn, and it's called... I was pretty sure I called it in here to start with. Hmm, interesting. Here's equip default weapon. It just chooses a random number between the count of the list of weapons in the game manager and 0. If it's 0, it's the hand cannon, and this all revolves around these weapon containers being in the right slots. So if you were to move the single-handed weapon slot from position 0, this code would break. I'm sure there's a better way to do it, but that's how I'm doing it. So, we instantiate a weapon at the prefab index that's randomly selected, and on the transform position and rotation of those empty weapon containers. You can see them on my character models when I'm playing. They're the gray circles. And then we set our entity's weapon equal to that. Same here, it just uses a different the other container because it's a two-handed weapon and they need to sit in different spots. So they do that. The IKs get set through this, same as our player. Well, actually, exactly the same. The objects I even copied from the player and put them on the enemies. Um, I don't know what it says show and code that weapons and players use the same weapons, but these are weapons. This is my base weapon, so every weapon has IK points, on attack start and end, a firing angle, and ammo. Everything has ammo. I don't care if you have a knife. I'll figure out a way to set it to infinite, or I'll take out and make a special display for it or something. Anyway, um, so there's the weapon. I don't really know how to show in code that players use the same weapon, except by going to pawn because our player is just a humanoid pawn, and showing that all pawns have health and a weapon, movement settings, and they even all have this is dead, but I only use it for the player. It actually doesn't get switched on and off if an enemy dies. Um, Enemies have a weapon too, since it's on the humanoid pawn script and I get the pawn. Um, all I do is get the firing angle because they already have it elsewhere. The script doesn't need it; just needs the firing. Anyway, oh here it is. Pawn send message. Equip default weapon. I did call it in here. I just missed it. So that's how they equip the default weapon. Right when they start, they call that function, and it goes there, and it's like, hey, I need a weapon, and they get one. So we do that. We equip weapons. I'm pretty sure in equip weapons I need to explain my weapon inheritance. So everything starts from a weapon, which is a mono behavior, and then honestly, since all weapons are guns in this game, they all go down this next route I'm about to show you, but I could split it off if I wanted it to. Here's a weapon gun. It inherits from weapon, so it has all those properties that you saw before, the owner, the ammo, all of that. And then it also has these ones that have to do with specifically guns, firing settings, a bullet prefab. We have a tracer shot interval, which isn't used by all guns, but used by the machine gun, and I put it here just in case I wanted to make a pistol that shoots a tracer, I don't know. We all have a shots fired count, that's on gun because your knife doesn't need an amount of shots fired. Um, we have this for the tracer shots. I have this as a public, just in case I wanted to make a pickup that messed with your time between shots. I don't know if that'd be a good idea, but I could try it. Um, we got the firing point, which is the spot that we spawn these bullets at, which is an empty placed in front of the barrel. Our next shoot time, which obviously is the next time we can shoot, and a spread. That's set to default to 0, but I mess with it on all the other guns. So they all inherit all of this. If current ammo, all of this. So, and they inherit this too. This is just the regular shoot bullet. Can shoot. I didn't have it be an override because I wanted this. As far as I see, this is going to be the same. Um, I guess these aren't overrides, but I don't see why they would be different either. And then here's that get firing angle I told you about. All it does is return the firing angle. Um, so there's that. And then as we can see, I'm just going to go to like shotgun. Boom. Here's the shotgun. It inherits from weapon gun, which itself is a weapon. So now we have this inheritance chain. All it has special is a projectile count, that we go iterate through right here to generate the amount of projectiles that we have. And I had to call it different like this here, um, because I still needed to set the owner, the layer, the damage done, all of that. But I also needed these two to not happen inside here. Otherwise, it would count as like 20 shots fired when you fired a bullet and take away 20 shots. And that's not how shotguns work. We shoot pellets, which is all encased in a bullet. So now it works correctly. The machine gun actually doesn't have anything different really, except for check and do tracer that you kind of made. I put it in a fixed update so that it doesn't lag as much because in the regular update it was looking choppy. Um, so we say if is full auto, which this has a bool called full auto. We just shoot bullets. We don't even do on attack. start. We do right here, I guess. But we just shoot bullets. So that turns on. We say is full auto true. Um, and if is full auto is true, we just spawn bullets, 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 bullets until it's not true, which is on end attack, on attack end. Um, so it shuts off and it stops shooting bullets when we let go. That's in our controller. And while it's set to true, it just spawns bullets and checks for tracers like no tomorrow. Because it's in every fixed update. So now that we seen how all of our weapons shoot differently, all that cool stuff, how these all inherit this max ammo and everything from each other. Max ammo is also right here. We're gonna go and move on. Well, I mean, I guess I could try to show you the inverse kinematics. It's just the humanoid pawn again on them. So it's the same exact one our players use. See, and they spawn, they grab their guns. Ooh, that guy actually holds the shotgun really nicely. Boom, just got railed. So that's cool. Look, there's other guys holding guns. There's them holding the machine gun. Same inverse kinematics as the player, except it's not the player. Because it's on the humanoid pawn right here. So after we explain that, we're gonna do the enemy ragdoll on death. This one is a little bit special. I know you made a ragdoll manager, but I did not do that at all. At all. This is the health pickup. This is not health. So I have a spawn ragdoll method on my health, and this gets called in our on death. So I had to make a boolean called spawn rag because when they were getting shot with a shotgun, they would spawn like 12 ragdolls as all the bullets would trigger it all off at once. So we have a boolean that's automatically set to true at the beginning, but as soon as they spawn one, it sets itself to false, so they can only spawn one. And this is just called in our on death function. I'll show it in a minute. But here's our game object for our ragdoll, so you pop that in anything. We go over here. Here's both the ragdolls. They're actually separate objects. I read the canvas about switching them on and off later, and that's actually a really good memory efficient way, so I would rather do that next. But I already set this up, so this is how we're doing it. So I go over, oops. So I go over to my player, and we go down to his health script. He's got it in his on death health spawn ragdoll, and on his own health script, the player ragdoll is in the ragdoll spot. If I go over to enemies, we will see the same thing. We drop a random item from here, and health kill just destroys the game object, so it's only on here. But then we also have the same health spawn ragdoll. But if we look at this guy's health script, he's got the SWAT ragdoll in here instead. And that's all it is. The ragdolls themselves have a script on it called like destroy self, and all it does is it destroys them after like 3 seconds. And that is the entirety of the ragdolls. That's what they do. So as you can see, I put a little motion on them. I don't know if that's too much, but it's pretty funny, so I'm leaving it because they do backflips when you kill them and flip around all cool. So that's cool. But yeah, that's them. Boom. And if you look after like 3 seconds, they're gone. And that's that. Oh, I guess my player ragdoll didn't want to spawn there. It must have. Interesting. Interesting. Since I added the UI manager for this next milestone, weird stuff has been going on. So I'll have to check out what is up with that. But for now, it looks like I'll be moving on because all it said was enemy ragdoll on death, and they're doing that. And for some reason, the player ragdoll spawned earlier, but I got that code in there. That's being weird. So to show the enemies spawning over time, we're gonna go to my spawner. All this does is set like these this is the parent class of the spawners. It gives us our settings. We get our transform from here. The next spawn time is moving, and then the min and max x's, min and max z's, and set y's. So I have the Y as a set Y so that the spawner doesn't move up and down all crazy when it's doing these random values right here. And then I have a min and a max, obviously, to keep them moving within a certain area. Which the is moving boolean has to be set, which we just set in the inspector. A designer will just be like, I want this one to move, and they click that. So we're good there. That's all there is. Really minimal stuff right there. We're gonna go on over to our enemy spawner and take a look here. All I'm doing is the same thing I do when I spawn my guns, pretty much. I create an enemy called enemy, give him a name. Oh, apparently my headset doesn't think it has to stay on while we're doing this. Anyway, um, I give it a name, and then, which this looks like it's just two numbers in my opinion, but maybe it's the name of it and then a number. So actually that's what it's random, the name of it. There's only one. So um, there's only one enemy prefab, so this is only gonna ever return a single enemy to spawn. But if I had more, it would do more. So if time.time is greater than or equal to our next spawn time, which our next spawn time we start in the beginning, next spawn time equals time.time plus game manager instance enemy spawn delay. Um, and then we also add our spawner to this list, which I kind of don't know why I have that. I just made it thinking it was a good idea, but I guess it's good to know what spawners we have on the field. We can do stuff with that list if we wanted. Um, and then, so I have all of these, the spawn delay inside my game manager because I want it to manage that, not the spawners. Which maybe it would be better to have like a spawn manager. I don't know. Anyway, um, we add it to the list of enemies we have in here, like in our game manager, and then we set the next spawn time equal to time.time plus the instance enemy spawn delay. And then we increment the number of enemies on the field so that when it gets to max enemies, it stops spawning them. And this is here just in case it ever does get destroyed. I don't think a spawner ever would be, but it removes itself just in case. Like maybe if I have spawners on multiple levels, we won't go to the next level still thinking a spawner is in there. So really quick, here's the values in my game manager. Enemy spawn settings. We have a public int that's the current number of enemies, a public int that is the max enemies, and then we have our public float that is an enemy spawn delay. They spawn every 4 seconds, or it's just defaulted to that. I might have changed it in the inspector. But that's basically how enemy spawning works. We set the time, and then when we get to that time or past it, we spawn an enemy. And if the current enemies is less than game manager.instance.max enemies. So the max amount of enemies our game manager lets us have. I don't know if I need to show that again because I did. You saw him spawning. I'll run it really quick one more time for you, just so everything's all nice and together. There we go. We got one spawning. I died. We got another spawning. And another. And if I can live long enough to find. Ooh. Man, these bullet clones get crazy. Okay. Well, if they get to 10, no more will spawn. I think I've achieved that. See how none are spawning? There's 10 on the map. I want to go click on my game manager, but these dudes are shooting at me too much for me to like accurately do that. There we go. We've done it. We've clicked on the don't destroy unload box. Okay. They're supposed to have a firing range. I don't know if I ever got around to implementing it. Okay, so this is cool. We have 10 enemies, and max is 10. So if I can kill this guy, you'll see we go down. Oh, another one spawned. Yeah, see, it goes down. It'll spawn instantly as soon as you kill one if it's been waiting. But then we'll see the number go up, and then it goes up again as another one spawns. Except we're dead, so everyone's just gonna kind of stand still. So, that's that. Enemy spawning over time. I didn't use the gizmos. I didn't see that on there. So, all we got are all we have. Interesting. It seems something I have selected has taken these down off of there. I don't know why I would do that myself. So, but they are supposed to be done with tags. For whatever reason, those aren't showing up. As soon as I started doing the UI manager, everything went to hell. So, my new mechanic was this respawning that you saw when I died. I'll go die again just to show you. Now, if you die 3 times, like you saw before I ended it last time when I was trying to show you my enemy count, you don't respawn again. So there's that. You only get 3 lives so far. But look, I die, they stop, I respawn, we're good to go. I can't shoot or move while I'm dead. And now I'm dead for good. Oh, no, now I'm dead for good. So I don't respawn again if I don't have any lives. Perfect for implementing a game over really, really quickly. That is done in the game manager. We have this player death function that is called on death on our player prefab. All we do is we get all the skin mesh renderers and the mesh renderers on them, and then I get the capsule collider that collides with bullets, and we go through each of those and select or make them and disable them so that you can't see us or anything like that. And then I also disable the trigger collider. And this is just the trigger collider, not the collider that keeps me from falling through the map. If lives is less than 0, obviously I gotta make a game over function. If not, we invoke respawn, which I don't think I like this, because then when you die, you either have to get a game over or you have to respawn. But it works for now, and that's all I care. So when we start out, I missed that. We need to set our boolean is dead to true, so enemies stop. We can't shoot. All that good stuff happens. Which that's just encapsulation, or not encapsulation. All I do is set a conditional with an if statement, and I just encapsulate like my controls and my shooting with that. And then if you're dead, if is dead equals true, you can't do it. Which it really says if is dead equals false, you can. But if is dead is true, you don't have access to the block of code that lets you move or anything. Shoot, But when we respawn, we set is dead to false. We set our transformed opposition to a vector 3. I could make a spawn point and just put it in there, which I think I'm gonna do. But that works for now, so that's how it is. And then this is health.full heal because I get the player's health component in the game manager. I get it, and I just use the full heal function on it when I respawn them. But if there were more players, I would have to do that in a different way because that would just heal like, I guess player 1, whatever one I have stored in there. But then we get all of their. I could just pass in a player. I'm gonna figure that out later because that's how my UI is working. Anyway, we do the same thing but reverse. We get all the colliders and meshes again, then we enable them. And then here's where my UI is being updated when I respawn, even though the ammo is coming up weird. We use this from my UI manager, but it's not working when I spawn it. For some reason here, it's like, oh, we're not returning a null reference, but obviously you see when I start the game, it is. So, then we enable the trigger collider again, and we decrement the amount of lives when we respawn, and that's how respawning works. I like the lives being decremented here because it's like you spend a life to respawn. Which means you don't die when you get to 0. Like if you did it up here, Or maybe you could do it like after this. But if you did it like up here, this would go off. And if you had one life and you died, you don't have zero, you would get a game over. I want you to still live when you have one life, and this is how I thought to do it. That's my whole thing. I hope this wasn't too long for me to split up, but you have a good day, Professor.